Okay, guys, hi, hello. I already got an introduction, but it's kind of a habit for me to introduce myself again. Hey, Jim. My name is Mackenzie, and I have a problem. I find myself often hanging out with my friends outside of Civic Tech, trying to describe what it is that I do day to day for work. And like any rational person, I decided to address that problem by making a PowerPoint presentation. And so here I am presenting to you all that PowerPoint presentation. I am the supervisor for the Toronto Open Data Portal, open.toronto.ca. I will be repeating that a lot as a bit of a PR campaign. And we've been really focusing on trying to share more about what our team does day to day. And that's what I'm hoping to talk to you guys all about. What is it that open data is even up to? What is it that we're even doing? So I'll do this quickly, 4 quick parts. First, we'll talk about what open data is. I know most people here already know that. This is a Civic Tech meetup, but it's good to level set with everybody. Then I'll talk about what open data our team at Toronto is even doing and talk about more of our day-to-day and why that matters. Then I'll try to convince you guys that you should care. And then I'll talk a bit more about what we do in the future. But first, who is open data before what is open data? We're a team of 6 to 8. It kind of depends how you count. We've got 3 software developers, got a project manager, got a comms lead, got a policy analyst. And we manage a couple of things. We manage the website, we manage a Twitter, we manage an inbox, and those are all fairly responsive. So I encourage you guys later when I share all those, please hit them up if you ever have questions or requests or whatever. But I'm getting off topic. What is open data? And again, we all probably already know what that is, but let me go through it one last time for those of us who aren't so sure. Open data is publicly available government data. That means data from the government, made by the government about, for the most part, stuff that the city government is doing. It's in machine readable formats for the most part. And by machine readable, we mean something that can be parsed and navigated by some type of a software. Think more something that has rows and columns that can be easily split and identified by a program, and less like a picture or a pie chart. And finally, it is open, and therefore it is for anyone, for any purpose, including commercial. The site that I'll show you guys in a little bit allows you to come, no login, no account, no passwords, none of that. Find what you're looking for, click download, take it, and do whatever you want with it. So if you use it for a research project, great. If you use it to make $1 million, great. You don't have to even tell us what you're doing with it. We'd love to hear about it, of course, but there's no contractual or license obligation that makes you talk to anyone about what you're doing or even tell us that you're using it. That's by design. Now, what is open.toronto.ca? It's our website. I've already said it a couple of times, and I'm not going to stop. It's like I'm saying, a site where you come in, you don't need to log in, you grab what you want, and you get out. We provide data on that website in a couple different ways. Most of it is via download. A lot of it is also via API. So if you look for snips of data, or if you're looking to programmatically grab data, we give you those options as well. Okay. I'm going to talk less, and I'm going to show the portal a little quickly, a little briefly. Ooh. Let me. Nope. Hey, okay. So this is open.toronto.ca. It's nothing too fancy. It's got a search bar and a picture of a city called Toronto. If you guys go into that actual website, for those of you who haven't seen it before, you'll see that we've got a big old catalog. It's a pile of the different data sets that we make available to anybody with an internet connection. You can see we do our best to organize these by topics and civic issues, by what city division actually published it, and a couple of other things that we found to be useful. If you select any of these data sets, you'll see that each of them has their own web page, wherein we provide a little bit of context, metadata about what the data set means, a little bit of information about the data sets, for example, refresh rates, topics associated with, and so on. And then we'll give you some other stuff like previews, descriptions of what each, that's a bad example, of what various data, of what the various attributes in this data set mean, and so on. I encourage you guys to explore it on your own time. But I think we all get the gist of what this portal is meant to be. Normally I'd stop and ask questions, but I'll do that at the end for brevity's sake. Okay, so great. I showed you this portal. Who cares? What's the point? The idea is that this portal is obviously there to share data with people, but it's not just with the public. It's not just with people outside of the city bureaucracy. We actually make this in part to share data within the city bureaucracy. So from one corner of city bureaucrats to another corner of city bureaucrats. And that actually makes sense when you think about it, because there's a lot of city bureaucrats and there's a lot of corners. There's like 40 plus divisions of us. I should know the number. What is it? 40,000 of us? 45,000 of us? 40 something divisions. There's so many bureaucrats. Even the bureaucrats don't know how many bureaucrats there are. It's about 40,000. Thank you. But there's a lot of us and we all work in our own division. And for the most part, those divisions are siloed. And there's a lot of us that go, gosh darn silos. And yeah, that it is bad, but also you kind of got to understand why it was made to be that way. The library isn't going to do business like the fire department. They're wildly different use cases. And so for that reason, each of these groups tend to start doing business in a different way. And so sharing data within the bureaucracy becomes really hard because the library is managing data about books and withdrawals and events and the people walking through their facilities. And the fire department is, tracking fires. Those are different things. And the data and the management practices and the software and the hardware and the yada, yada, yada are all super different from one another. And so you can understand that when we have all that, sharing data within the bureaucracy is even difficult. And that's where open data comes in. Not only are we meant to be a storing house between the city bureaucracy and the public at large, but we're also trying to be, as much as we can, a middle ground between different divisions in the city and other different divisions of the city, a place where people can share, be they bureaucrat or not bureaucrat. Now, the sharing isn't just for sharing's sake. We do our best and we can talk about how good we're doing. I'd actually love to hear feedback from you guys afterwards. But we do our best to make sure that the data we're publishing is meaningful. I've got a list of some of the projects that have been Toronto open data related in the past, up on the board. And there's lots and lots more. And actually, that's kind of an interesting caveat about open data in general. Because we don't ask you to log in, because there's no account management, we don't know who's downloading the data. I mean, we have an idea. We come to Civic Tech, we talk to people, talk to Jim, he tells me what he's up to. So I have an idea. And other people on my team, it's not just me, obviously. Other people on my team, we have ideas just via our communication with the community and people reaching out to us through our inbox and our Twitter and whatever. But we definitely don't have a comprehensive view. So the list up here is not a comprehensive view. Okay, so great. We have this portal, but what are we even doing with it? We just have the portal and we sit there and we collect our paychecks? No, there's some work that we're doing. And there's three big things that our team is doing day to day. We are receiving requests from the public, from academia, from city council, from whoever, all kinds of folks. We are investigating those requests to see if somebody's asking for something feasible or even possible. We are taking those requests and turning them into updates to existing data sets, or we are taking those requests and turning them into brand new data sets, the publication of brand new stuff. And we do that with some technology. I don't even know why I have this slide up. We use Jira. That Jira tells us to put stuff in Airflow, and then the Airflow makes us put us up on open.toronto.ca. And I'm happy to talk about that stuff later if you guys are curious. There's nothing that we're doing that's groundbreaking when it comes to the technology, but I am happy to talk about that stuff. There's a lot of the code up on GitHub if you guys are curious about the details, but that's really not what I'm here to talk too much about. Again, though, happy to talk about that afterwards. Why do I bring this up? Because Jira has tickets, and tickets is how we do intake. Intake is a fancy word for how do we keep track of what we're doing day to day? How do I keep track of my work for publishing new data, for investigating a request, for updating an existing data set? We put them in Jira, and Jira is just a list of our to-dos. And then what we did is we said, hey, we said it would be really cool if we took all of our tickets and we made them public so people would know what we're working on. And that's what we did. We did that a couple of weeks ago, actually. And we published a data set called Toronto Open Data Intake. It's another data set. It looks just like all the other ones, except this one isn't about fires or votes at council. This one is about the different tickets that the City of Toronto Open Data team is working on and what's taking them so long. Now, who cares? Well, first and foremost, City Council cares because they make a lot of requests for open data. And I can't call City Council impatient because that would put my job in jeopardy. But understandably, they have timelines and they want to know what's going on. And so with that in mind, we want to be able to present to them, here are all the things you've asked for. Here's what's taking so long. But outside of City Council, plenty of other people, specifically the people who request that data, are interested. We've got city divisions, other city divisions who are looking to publish their own data up on our portal because they don't have the capacity themselves, for example. We have a lot of academics who have asked for things for their own research purposes. We have private business who are looking for updates to existing data sets because it's the stuff that their business depends on. And then people in the general public who've got their own range of projects and interests that we're looking to feed with our open data and keep up to date with our work. So we've got this data set. It's public. Woohoo. But right now it's just a data set. You have to be able to understand how to parse a data set to make it meaningful. You have to be, you don't have to be a PhD or anything, but you have to be a little bit data savvy to do so. And that's asking a lot for a lot of people who might not want to get into the weeds of a data set. For example, to ask City Council to download a file, parse it and rearrange it and put it on a pivot table or whatever. It's a lot to ask. So what are we doing now? Now that we've got this data set, we're hoping to be able to change how it's presented. So it's not just another data set. It will also present itself inside the catalog. This is actually coming from recommendations from Mitch and a couple others who I had a talk with here at Civic Tech a month ago, was it? Yeah. So we put together a wireframe. The idea is we're just going to shove this stuff directly into the catalog. So as you're looking through data sets that exist, you'll also look at data sets that don't exist yet, or data sets that are in the middle of being updated. These are more wireframes. I can't take credit for these. Another guy did them. His name's Steve. And ladies and gentlemen, that's really my whole talk. I've ran through it because I wanted to keep time for questions and whatnot. I've put up the our GitHub, our Twitter, our inbox, and our website up there. Please do use them. We have people monitoring them all the time. Jim, I saw your email. I think it was yesterday or today. The lady who does it mostly is out, so I'm getting to it. It's going to be tomorrow. But guys, that's all I got. Thank you for your time. Happy to answer questions.